WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Well, this time I have a GlenAllachie. I have a GlenAllachie 12-year-old Ruby Port Wood Finish, 48%, Whiskybase number 192598. This goes for around €69.90 over here in Europe, at least in Germany, and it was bottled on the 2nd of September 2021. Yay! This is part of the 3-part wood finish series here from GlenAllachie. There was the 11-year-old Pedro Jimenez, which I've already reviewed, the 12-year-old Ruby, which I am reviewing, and a 13-year-old Madeira, which I didn't get a hold of. I screwed up. All right, so what I'm going to do is get rid of the packaging here and bring up my comparison whiskey. Either this is going to be a top or a flop. I have a German whiskey made and distilled in Germany. I'm comparing it to a Scotch whiskey, and it is from Ellsburn. That's in a distillery that I respect. The original Hercurian single malt whiskey matured in ruby and tawny port casks. 46%, €68, €69, 90, about the same. We have 46, we have 48%. I thought it would be a good comparison. Now, the very first thing that I noticed while looking at my glasses here was the massive color difference. This, the GlenAllachie, is very red in hue, has a red hue. This, in comparison, is brown. So where's the port? Now, I do know at Ellsburn they only use their casks once and maybe twice. All right, so these were here ruby and also tawny ports. Tawny actually gives a darker color. Ruby actually gives a much lighter color. Now, you can argue with me if you want, but I don't even think that there really were ruby casks 20 years ago. All right, so ruby port was actually matured in steel tanks so that retained its bright red color. Tawny was put into oak casks, and it became received a nice dark brown color. And so this has more of the tawny influence, and this is totally 100% ruby port. All right, so but the same price, almost the same ABV. This is 12 years old, so it spent the first original 10 years in ex-bourbon casks, so ex-American oak, and then it received a 2-year-old finish. This has a no-age statement, and it spent its entire life. It's a full maturation in ruby and tawny port. How old is it? I don't know. So it's one of 1,375. A bottle, it must be 3 years old. I'm actually going to guess it's somewhere around 5. So 5-year-old versus a 12-year-old whiskey. You might think there's not a chance in the world that this will win. Well, surprise, surprise. On the nose, I get artificial strawberry. I get artificial strawberry hubba bubba. I'm not really sure I like this. It's not bad, but it's not really something I can gush about. Let's use that word. It's a little bit of cinnamon. There's a little bit of ginger in here. Maybe a little bit of apple. All right. Over here, on the other hand, oh, totally different. This is more caramel. This is caramel apple with port on it. I'm going to talk about this in length in a moment, and there will be an individual video about this as well. I actually compared the two of these without having this actually in my glass beforehand. I do sample shares, that's why something's missing. I didn't drink it, someone else received it, and so I was like, oh, either it's going to be a top or a flop, and actually it's a top. This is interesting. This is actually less interesting for me, amazingly. Cheers. And I will tell you why. Now, if you add water, what happens is it turns into a sulfur candidate. I'm trying to find a good word. The whole time, even without water, it's like, wait, there's something going on my tongue. It tickles, it tingles. And the problem is it's not the alcohol. It's not the 48%. It's the sulfur. The sulfur tingles and tickles my tongue. And therefore, this is kind of like, oh, look, ah. So this does this. It's like, okay, oh, sulfur. And then it, well, oh, interesting finish, but there's still a little bit of sulfur in there. This is a C- whiskey, guys. I'm sorry. I don't like it, in my personal opinion. I am not a big fan of this. If I put a little bit of water in it, took it down to 43%. The sulfur kicks in more. I dislike whiskeys with sulfur. Now, if you do not have a sulfur allergy as I do, then this actually might be an interesting product. But yet, it's very, very simplistic in its flavor profile. Hubba bubba strawberry artificial flavoring. Not much more going on there. Tiny, tiny little bit of ginger, but not really something where I can go, oh, wow. It's not wow. It's, And that's a shame. So I'm going to give this a C minus for value. I'm going to give it a C minus, B plus, D plus. A D plus, C minus for value for money. I would not go out and buy this again. This is 70 euros over here. I could spend my money buying 2 GlenAllachie 12 years old and love them to death, and I would actually have problems ever pouring a sample of this, a dram of this, and enjoying it because of that sulfur moment. Such a shame. Such a shame. All right. I normally do not have sulfur issues with GlenAllachie. Wow. He used to be at GlenAllachie. Now Billy Walker's at GlenAllachie with GlenAllachie. That's something I very, very seldom have. On the packaging at the top, it's the same thing and every single thing I got here from the Wood series. Sourcing niche products or niche producers and buying small batches of casks from around the world. Billy has left no stone unturned. He looks for well-maintained quality casks that will complement the whiskey rather than overpower it. Casks of different oak types add their own unique characteristics to the maturing whiskey. The finishing period varies, but each enriches the depth of the exquisite GlenAllachie spirit. And now for this one, this gorgeous ruby red malt was initially aged for over 10 years in American oak barrels before being re-racked into ruby port pipes. The secondary maturation period further develops the depth of flavor and complexity, as well as bestowing a vibrant, rich color. I agree with the color. So regular monitoring ensures perfect equilibrium between port and malt is achieved whilst preserving the distillery characters. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, good. Going over very briefly here to the Ellsburn. It's going to get its own video, but I'm just going to try it. I'm going to say this tastes like waffles with cherries and maple syrup. It's totally different. Much more of a mouthfeel, much thicker, more viscosity. It's only 46%, this is 48%, both a non-chilled filtered, both a natural color. But this actually has this, like I said, it's like a whole, I'm going to add that. It's a whole wheat waffle with nice cherries on top and a little bit of maple syrup, basically. Good. I did not expect this to be so good. It's delicious. Wow. Very good. This, the sulfur. All right, WhiskyJason here. Unfortunately, I did not get the Madeira. So of the 3 from the batch 3 here from their wood finish range. So my question of the day is, if you had a port full maturation or a port finish, which product would you choose? It doesn't have to be from Scotland. Look, I have something from Germany. It could be from Ireland. It could be from America. It could be anything. Where do you have port? Now be careful. Port is officially only then from the country of Portugal. Unfortunately, Australia used the term for many years, no longer do, and America still uses it. All right, so they call that port whiskey or port wine, which is not from Portugal. It's a type, and it's actually geographically indicated and protected, but oh well, they can't sell it in Europe as port wine. Thank you very much for watching. Good stuff. Wow. And all the best to you. See you soon. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and tell others maybe. Bye bye.